I'm an intellectual. I'm an intellectual. I'm an intellectual.
What's going on, people? It's your boy Kim, and welcome back to season 4. This being episode 2 of the Art of Branding series on the Flying Intellectual podcast. On today's episode, we have Danielle Hawkins on the show. Danielle has worked her way from the small island of St. Croix to the large world of high fashion. She's the CEO and co-founder of Tunnel Productions, as well as a contributing fashion editor and celebrity stylist who has produced some of your favorite magazine covers for some of the most sought-after celebrities. On this episode, we'll be talking about how she navigates the world as a minority, as a woman, also how she balances life as a mom, the principles she built her company on, and so much more. Sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Peace. What's going on, people? It's your boy Kim. Welcome back to another episode of the Flying Intellectual podcast. And on today's episode, I'm super excited that I have Danielle Hawkins on the show tonight. She is a CEO, co-founder of Tunnel Production, Tunnel House, Tunnel Films. She is also a celebrity stylist, contributing fashion editor, supermom, entrepreneur. The list goes on. So I want to welcome Danielle to the show. Danielle, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, man. How have you been dealing with COVID?
Man, COVID has been crazy.
Yeah.
It's been an adjustment, but it's been good. I mean, I've been enjoying working from home and kind of restructuring. So it's been an experience, but it's all good, man. All good vibes.
Yeah, it's always good vibes. The thing is, it forced us to kind of do things in a different way. But, for the most part, the average person who really understood how to pivot or learned how to pivot in this time, I think we're kind of reaping the benefits of that, so to speak. What are some ways that you kind of saw it affect the fashion industry?
Oh, man. We basically had a complete shutdown, and it wasn't just fashion. It was TV, media, like everything.
Yeah.
A lot of things went into post-production. A lot of projects just had to halt altogether because, we couldn't get together to shoot and to create these projects. So, they require testing wasn't even available for such a long time that it really kind of just made everything come to a halt.
Yeah.
So things kind of really just opened up back in July. And there's kind of a mad rush for just gaining content because people have been posting and publishing old content, things that had already come out, they're bringing back out, and things that they've shot, they were pushing out. But people kind of ran out of content around.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
June. So, I mean, it's forced people to become more creative. It's forced people to actually take into consideration how important
Yeah.
sanitizing themselves, their hands, their environment.
Yeah, the things that we should have been paying attention to anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I had friends tell me oh my God, they were wiping down groceries. They didn't know how nasty things were. That's facts. You just go to the store, come back home, open it, eat it, and it's yuck. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're
eating, what you're ingesting at all.
Yeah. So.
And that's crazy. I think we kind of got that cleanliness. I think we kind of get that aspect from our Caribbean upbringing.
Yeah.
Our parents definitely didn't play that shit, and yeah. So we kind of learned how to be, kind of be clean, more clean, and I'm sure a lot of us kind of slacked in those aspects, not just being a dirtiness, so to speak, but we probably weren't paying as much attention to just sanitizing and paying attention to germs or whatnot. So yeah, it definitely made us pay more attention to it. So explain to the people who don't understand any of the many things that you do. Summarize it for us. If somebody was to say, "Hey, man, Danielle, tell me what it is that you do," break it down for the people.
I mean, I feel like it's changed kind of drastically recently, but I mean, everyone who kind of does know me knows me as a stylist or fashion editor, celebrity stylist, but now it's full on executive producer as well.
Nice.
The fact that, launching Tunnel and everything like that. So I still keep on my titles as far as fashion editor goes, but I am a mom now and I am pregnant again, so I've kind of had to step away from the styling aspect because it's just so strenuous.
Absolutely, absolutely. The standing, the hours, yeah.
It's exhausting. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time, and so it's been kind of a blessing in disguise. Not,
Yeah.
I don't want to call COVID a blessing because so many people have
Yeah.
gotten such, it's impacted them in such a drastic, like, terrible way. They've lost loved ones, or
Yeah.
family members have been really sick. They don't know how they're doing. They're still, fighting whatever last issues are left from it, but
Mm-hmm.
that in the way that I've kind of tried to make the most out of the situation, like
Yeah.
it's allowed me to kind of like focus more on the business side and like just the production side, and let other artists who are coming up or those who have been around, kind of take on that role.
No, absolutely. And I get it. It's hard to say, it's kind of hard to just say a flat out something like, the blessing in disguise, but at the same time, it's your truth. And it's a lot of people's truths as well. And our heart definitely goes out to those fighting and being affected by COVID. And yeah, in tough times, diamonds are made as well, where you're able to analyze situations and pivot and think. And you have to kind of think quickly to be able to survive. You know what I'm saying? We're human beings that we want to be able to survive. And for you, your brand Tunnel coming to the forefront, I'm sure that during Corona, just being able to sit still and to be able to manipulate and be able to adjust and figure out like where it is that you're trying to take your brand and your business to the next level. I'm sure the downtime helped with that. So let's start kind of like chronologically from the beginning. For those who don't know, Danielle is from the island of St. Croix, essentially growing up there where I'm from, Virgin Islands. So talk about your upbringing and how you would think that's kind of shaped your journey to where you are right now.
I mean, it's funny because like growing up, we don't realize how blessed we are. Like we really, because we're responsible for kind of like doing everything ourselves and making everything ourselves and responsible for our culture, like we don't realize until we're much older, I feel like, at least for me, how much that actually fed like creative side.
Facts.
Like just our culture, carnival, our food, our, just everything. So for me, I mean, I was lucky. I have a big family. And one of my aunts who I guess I clung to the most. I won't say that because I really did. Like, we're very close to all of them. But anyway, like, I took to this one the most because she's a seamstress.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of, like, really was the one I spent a lot of time with, and, like, learning how to sew, learning how to design, really appreciating fashion. Like, she always had, like, all the fashion magazines at her shop, and, like, everybody knows her. Like, everybody comes to her for uniforms and stuff, Rosamond. So it was, like, that's kind of, like, where I was every day after school if I wasn't with my grandmother or I wasn't at dance or something.
Yeah.
So, like, and just seeing her do everything from, carnival time to people in my dress outfits to, like, helping out with some troops to, just doing a mix of different things, you kind of just get exposed to it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
So
then
that's,
so for you, literally, you didn't even realize at that time, like a lot of us didn't realize, you're ingesting and literally like, finding a love for something that at the time you didn't think would have literally bread and butter, and your
no, it's
passion.
just something that they gave us to do after school so that we wouldn't, like, bother.
Yeah, bother nobody or be on the streets or
Exactly. Like, go make something, like, make yourself useful. Like, why you don't, the same way they tell you, like, oh, go sweep up something. Like, oh, like, go sew on this button. Like, oh,
yeah,
you know, go hem this shut. Like,
yeah,
you
just
know,
just to keep you busy.
exactly. It was just something just to teach us so that we knew how to do it and then to keep us busy. And then it turned into, like, okay, let's get more creative. Then they giving us assignments like, why don't you make your dolly clothes? Like, why don't you
Yeah,
make some sort of messenger bag? Like, why don't you, and it kind of developed like that, to be honest.
yeah. No, that's awesome. And the thing is, I remember when we were having our conversation, our first conversation, I was telling you like, yeah, my mom's a seamstress too, and she was, essentially teaching me, and attempting to teach me, that skill at the highest level. And of course, just me being a young boy, in the Caribbean, I'm like, man, I want to go outside and play. I want to play with my friends. I don't really want to do this. And you think, as a kid, you're thinking, oh, this is for girls, like sewing is for girls. And now you recognize, like, nah, like sewing, cooking, all that kind of stuff are life skills that like is just good for anybody to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's crazy. So then you grow up, you get that grooming in fashion. You leave St. Croix. Where do you go from there? Like you graduate from high school, where do you go from there?
So yeah, so I went to St. Joseph, but then my last year, my mother felt like I was getting into too much trouble, too much medical, everything. So she took me to Good Hope. So I actually graduated from Good Hope.
Shout out to the Falcons. That's crazy. I went to Good Hope for 1 year.
Actually, just 1
year.
year, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah, like full on like graduated from there, and then I went to New York. That's so funny. I was upstate New York. I was really actually I went to school on scholarship for studio art because I was into like painting and shit. So again, like all that creative side was coming out somewhere.
Yeah.
And then like I did business, and then like while I was in school I found like, okay, this is not what I wanted to do. So I bounced around like, oh, I tried like religious studies, and I tried like art direction, art history, and I think honestly in art history is kind of where things started to click for me. And I was like, okay, I need to figure out exactly, because I'm looking at all of these amazing artists, and then you're learning about the history and how all these different things kind of intertwine. And one of the big things was fashion, and how moving through the 1800s, 1700s, and like the different parts of the world and influencing based off of trade and etc. like that. So after that, I kind of was like, okay, I need to figure out exactly what makes me really excited and happy. And I went home and I was just doing like other stuff, like paralegal stuff. And then I was with my aunt a lot, and I was like, I already draw. I already know how to sew. Let me like just make a collection.
Wow.
So like that was actually like my first like real plunge. Like I did a collection. I got into Caribbean Fashion Week, which is the biggest fashion week in the Caribbean. Like it's held in Jamaica. And then from there I went back to New York.
Okay.
And when I got back to New York the second time is when I really was like, okay, I know I wanted to be in high fashion. I wanted to work with specific photographers. At the time, who's extremely controversial now, it was Terry Richardson. And it's very hard to get to these people, but I got to his management agency. And they also repped like all the major like fashion photographers, fashion editors. I won't even call them stylists or editors because they work directly under publications. Publications are magazines. Top hair, top makeup, like like the people that define our industry.
Yeah.
And I got really lucky with that internship, and it just took off from there. I got to work with all of the different artists. I'm talking Mary Testino, Mary Sorrenti, Stephen Klein, Terry, like jump to Vogue, like all the big Vogue editors, Anna Wintour, her right hand, Grace Coddington, Camilla Nickerson. And I got really lucky that I figured out, okay, like it's definitely styling. That's what I want to do. I want to be a fashion editor. And one of them gave me a chance. Her name was Sarah Go Reeves. She was a fashion editor and chief of Vogue Mexico.
Okay.
And she literally, like, I was on set with her one day just as an intern, and I like was dropping stuff off at like 10 p.m. And I walked to her door, dropped everything, and then I left, walked back to the elevator, and I was just like gaining my courage.
Yeah.
And I walked back. I was like, I really want to work with you. Can you please teach me? Like, knocked on her door, like, can you please teach me? She's like, what did you do? Find your balls at the elevator? I was like, basically. And she's like, all right, be here at 6 a.m. And that was that.
Wow.
So I literally, after that, paid my dues for years, assisting like the top editor-in-chiefs, like literally under the Vogue umbrella. When I say put in my years and I paid my dues, like I dealt with the abuse. It was Devil Wears Prada times 1,000. Like
I can only imagine. That fashion industry is no joke.
And it kind of just started from there. Yeah.
Wow, that's a beautiful story, and a lot of times, I try to explain to people, especially like younger kids, like pay your dues, man. Don't in this generation, in this age, social media makes everybody feel like everything has to be like a microwave, like everything has to be like quick, like if I don't make it tomorrow, I'm a failure. Like nah, like hard work and putting in the time still pays off. You know, for you, the fact that you humbled yourself enough to just be like, yo, you know, I just want to be in the room. Can I be in the room and can I like serve as an intern? Can I serve? You know, and essentially you're at the bottom tier at that point, right? You're literally just like, yo, I'll do anything just to like learn the game. And it paid off for you. So you just kept it up, kept going with the determination.
Yeah, when I started out, so there's literally levels like there's like intern, then there's third assistant, then there's second assistant, then there's first assistant, and then like your other like a contributing editor yourself, or like the editor, and then you can just move up the ranks that way. I went kind of crazy. Like I was super hungry and like really humble and dedicated. So I kind of went from intern to first assistant like within like a few months. And that's literally just like no sleep. No sleep, just grind, just go, go, go. Just be there, prove. And yeah, it worked out. I learned a lot. I wouldn't trade those years and the abuse for anything. I think it's necessary. And, you know, I work with some really brilliant people who define the high fashion industry and the industry in general. So, you know, I know a lot of these young ones coming up, they like want the instant gratification, but it's like, it's not worth it because at least if it really depends on what you're trying to do. But for if you're trying to enter the high fashion realm and world, like it's a very tight community, a very tight society, very hard to get into the right way. And you just have to, it's all about networking and just starting and working. So yeah, like there is no shortcut. There is no shortcut.
Sweet. So the last thing we heard was definitely about delayed gratification, um, playing, you know, putting the work in, not looking for anything instant, because you know it means more when you put in the work and you have something that stands the test of time, which is a huge gem. That's gem number. I mean, you've given a few already, so that we'll just keep racking up the gems. Talk to us about you now are in the game. When what moment or what opportunity would you say that really made you know that okay, I'm here to stay as a black woman, as a young black woman in fashion from the Caribbean? I'm here and I'm here to stay. This is what I'm doing. Which opportunity do you feel like stamped you with your validation within yourself?
I honestly don't think it was like one specific moment. I think there were like a few moments that happened that
Okay.
made me realize that I was really in it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Because there were many times where it's like you're the only black person on set. Don't even talk about Caribbean. Like, psh.
Right. That's even smaller. Yeah. Let's
um,
just keep it black. Right.
yeah, like let's just start with black. Like
Yeah.
black female. Like okay, so like you're there because usually I mean it's white, Russian, Asian, no sweat,
Yeah.
no sweat, or somewhere from
Right.
Europe, and then you know Americans, and then black, like if maybe you
Right.
know. So I think the first time was when. Well, the first time I felt like I could do this and like really do this is when I did this project with Get, and my editor, like she didn't even show up to the meetings. Like she
Wow.
sent me. Like, you know, like
Wow.
it was literally just like all my creative, and like she was in the Hamptons, like on vacation. Like you know what I mean?
Six.
Like she was chilling and like checking in at night, and then like just showed up to set randomly the day.
Wow.
And you know everything was already set, and then I remembered when it came out, everybody was like, oh, this new direction of Gap, blah 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 blah, it's so cool, so fresh, whatever. And they're like, I love your new style inspiration
Yeah.
that you got. You know, they were like, they love this new direction and this new, you know, vibe that she did. And I was like, this bitch wasn't even here like this long. Like, you know, like, and that kind of was like the first time I was like, okay, so really and truly, like I could do this like without you. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I didn't think
Wow.
way, but it was like, okay, like you trusted me enough to know that I would get it done, and then I got it done, and then you're getting all the
The
accolades. And
credit.
didn't
Yeah. You
bother.
think?
It actually didn't bother me at all that she got the credit, because it was like I almost needed to hear it for someone else before
Yeah.
I, like I deserved it myself, which is weird. But it was like, it was just the first time when you're stepping out on your own, you still kind of are like nervous, you know what I mean? So,
Absolutely.
that was one of the first times that it was like, okay. Another first time was just like when she trusted me to just handle the first time you just get to handle all the creative yourself, and they don't need to tell you anything, was like a reassuring fact.
Yeah.
That time, and then it was like when you started working with other people and they requesting you and other people know you and people are familiar, like those times like was like, okay, validation, like okay. And then I think the real time was like when I got booked on my first job, like my first editorial myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was for Nylon, and they like just like they had me as a fashion editor. I was like, oh lit. I was like, what, you want me? Really, me? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that was that. Like, and then, as that happened more and more and you start to develop like, okay, maybe I should develop a portfolio, like maybe I should do this, whatever. Until you kind of just get to that point, like you have the expertise, you have the years, you have the contacts, you have the know-how, you got it all. And then the last is just like your separation with, that person that helped develop you.
Yeah.
And they never take it well. Oh my God, a breakup, whether it's your boss, your partner, your
Yeah.
mother.
Nah, never take it well.
All. If you're leaving them,
Yeah.
like, you will never succeed. They always say like the most evil shit. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. You never find somebody like me type of vibes.
Nobody will ever hire you. I'm like, damn, no. Shit. I will tell everyone that you were terrible. I'm like, why would you do that? Like I gave you my years. I gave you my life.
I have my wings now. Let me fly.
Yeah, but it's never like that because they like, they found someone and they trust them and they can, rely on them and count on them. Like it's really like hard for them too. So like,
yeah,
I get it. Like they don't want you to leave as well.
And they don't want to go through that process again. Essentially, like
exactly. By that time, it's like they always have, you got like 3 assistants. Like I'm your first one, yeah. But by that time, your second will become your first. Like relax. Like you'll be fine.
Yeah,
like here before me, like you'll be fine.
Yeah. That's crazy. So essentially, when did you start Tunnel, and why did you start Tunnel?
So Tunnel is my newest baby, I would say. I mean, I'm calling her my newest baby, but so when I became freelance and I was like officially not completely signed to only being able to do stuff for Kanye or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of jump around and do stuff and work with different people and whatnot. I just had like Danielle Hawkins studio, and that's just like I was just working as a freelance stylist and fashion contributing editor. And then what happens is like when you're new and you're building yourself, you start to create and build your own team. So you get your own photographers that are willing to work with you and your own hair and makeup and stuff. So I was like, just like how I was the assistant of a great editor, the assistants of great makeup and hair and, were the ones we were working with. We were all assistants at the same time. So they're like, yo, you want to do something? Like, it's always like on set, we're like, yo, you want to do a test shoot? You want to do something? I'm like, yeah, like, let's do it. Like,
Yeah.
So that's basically how it happened. So when that happens, like you're responsible for producing your own stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're producing your own shoots, your own projects. So it just kind of developed. I was like, okay, now other people are asking me to do it for them. Like, okay, so like this is a business. Like this is legit a business. Like I know other production companies, and it kind of just was a soft idea for a while. And I was just kind of doing it just without calling it anything. It's just part of it. Like, oh, we have a project. Like, I'm going to handle it.
Yeah.
And then I just decided to give it some legs like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really go through the motions of like, okay, no, Tunnel is fully set. Like, business, everything together. And it really came about because I partnered with some other people, producers who had been in the industry way longer than I had, and they kind of taught me, because that business side and the production side is a whole nother monster, you know
of
what I'm saying?
course.
So I kind of needed their know-how. I needed them to kind of tell me how things worked, where the money comes in, what it all involves, to really feel comfortable enough to be like, okay, like, no, I have like a well-oiled machine, like I have everything I need, like let me like really make this official.
Right.
So yeah, it launched in New York, and then it came over to LA because I moved to LA and really just got its legs in LA, I would say.
Nice. And what would you say was a need that you saw that you really wanted to kind of fill with Tunnel? Like what were some of the voids you saw that like, hey, I'm me Daniel Hawkins with Tunnel. I think we can do and not in a disrespectful way, but we could do this better, or we are the standard to be able to hold these kind of accounts.
It was more of a need of there needed to be a production company that was as good as the ones that had been around forever, but weren't. You didn't have to jump through all the hoops. You know what I'm saying? Like what happens is like a lot of these production companies have been around forever, and they only do these big projects.
Yeah.
They don't spend their time with the smaller stuff, and so the smaller ones, they all want the big accounts too, not realizing that you can do a bunch of them and still get to the same, deadline or
Yeah.
same number. So I kind of just felt like, or there were really small ones that were just putting out trash. So I was like, there needs to be kind of like a middle ground where you can also get the same quality of work, because we all have those experiences and come from those head people anyway. And just the network,
Right.
a lot of in LA, it's all a celebrity kind of world, celebrity and TV. And they try so hard and they want to get into high fashion, but they have no idea. They have no concept of what it is,
What it entails, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I started working with people out here and they're like, wait, how did you get, this cover? How did you do this? Like, how do you, they're like, oh, no, you got to work with D.
Yeah. Wow.
And so it kind of just rippled off that way. It kind of just happened like that.
Wow. That's like a super humble flex, but we'll take it here. Like that's it's crazy like how you literally went through, all those different levels, and now you have your own brand, your own business, your own company. So and now people have to come through you. And not only as we said, as a Black woman, as a Caribbean Black woman, like you literally are essentially one of the standards. So let's transition a little bit. How did being a stylist do you think, and essentially serving others, help you when you built your own brand?
Oh man, so being a stylist, you have to, one, it teaches you, just like with dealing other people, like you have to respect. Okay, no, pause. Okay, so as an editor, we deal with models, right?
Okay.
So usually, like that's how it started. Like it was models. Before this whole industry got merged and celebrities were on covers and shit, it was only models and supermodels, right?
Right.
Supermodels and stuff, they didn't really have a voice or identity, or like they're just mannequins.
Right.
So it was like, come to set, put this on. I don't care if you're uncomfortable. I don't care if the shoes are too small. Like put it on. Like we're gonna get this. It's for this bigger picture.
Right.
When celebrities started kind of taking over the space, you kind of had to like learn how to like respect how they felt about shit, their opinions, and it has morphed our industry a bit. And then just being in this world, you work with so many different types of people with so many different types of backgrounds, from who talk so many different types of languages, and it forces you to learn how to communicate extremely well. Like there's no room that you can't put me in that everybody won't get the same message the same way.
Wow.
Like there's no way, there's no one I can't talk to make them understand or not offend. Like you just learn how to do it. Like I have assistants that have asked me, like, why are you talking like that? I'm like, because this person is Asian.
Yeah.
And they speak it like this. Like, Danielle can do, you eat, you hungry? Like, I'm like, and I talk like that back to them because they're going to understand what I'm saying. It's like, I'm not retarded. I know how to speak properly.
Right.
But I translate, like, and then it also, makes you want to learn other languages and other things too. So I think that's one of the most important things. You learn how to communicate and get a message across no matter to who your audience is.
Wow.
And that's really important when you're working with teams and building teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm sure, you have your personal team, but the fact that you're dealing with, for the most part, celebrities have their own teams, and you have to like interact and literally like almost, you have to have like one line of communication essentially that everybody understands at the same time, so that we can get the same things done for the same timeline to meet the same to get the bigger picture. So it's essentially just like you were as a stylist. You just figured out, okay, no, I know how to be a chameleon. Like I can step into this room, I can just take on the form of whatever it is in this room, as long as it's for the bigger picture and we're getting the whole thing done.
Literally, like, people have called me a chameleon in this industry. Like, depending
Wow.
on set, where it's going, who I'm going to be around, I dress different, I talk different, I act different. Just because I don't want any confusion and I want everyone to be as comfortable as possible. And that's
Master.
not fake. That's just professional.
No,
Like,
no, no.
so
And
some
you
people
have
be like, oh, like you acting different. Like, no, it's just like, why make it more difficult for this person to feel comfortable when you're trying to get something done? Like, don't be stupid.
facts. And like a lot of people, they kind of spend so much time, in those situations wanting to just be themselves and wanting to do it their way that they miss the whole picture. Like it's not about you.
It's not. And it's not about you not being yourself. It just means that you're so comfortable and you're so, like, you understand so much that people are different and come from
Yeah.
different places, that you're yourself. You're like a fucking superhero.
Yeah.
Like like you can, and they will work with you because they're like, okay, like I've been struggling for so long to like get this done the way that it needs to happen. It's not happening. They're frustrated. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
there's no need for that. Like, how can we make this happen and make everybody happy and comfortable? Like, that's what I'm about. Like, there's not going to be any set that happens or any shoot that happens and I'm there and there's a bad report or it's like somebody was unhappy. If something happens that was unhappy, it's really because like y'all were really difficult.
Yeah.
It's not going to be because of me or my team. Like, no.
And that's supreme confidence, just knowing that, look, when I come into the situation, when I'm hired, when my company is hired, when we're representing, this is the level that we're bringing, and we're not taking anything less than that. So like,
you're gonna have a great time.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a cool vibe. You're gonna get great content, great work, and like that's just a reputation that like I had as a stylist, and that's just what you're gonna get from my company. Like, legit.
Sick. That's it right there. Like for me, like as we said, this season is on brand building, and there are some intangibles that you have to kind of like build your brand on, build your company on. They're intangible, these things that cannot be compromised at any time. Like, hey, when Tunnel Production is taking over is handling your production, that Danielle is coming as a master communicator. She's a boss. She's coming with she's dotting her I's, she's crossing her T's, and and the vibe. Essentially, I've heard you use the word vibe, which for me, vibe is a big thing as well. Energy, making sure that the work environment is a friendly and accommodating environment, which is literally what you just said. So that's awesome. So what would you say are some of the intangibles that you made sure that your brand Tunnel had to have? Like when we come, when we come and we're getting this vibe done, what do we know? What do you want to relay to people once they see Tunnel Productions is on the job?
If someone says like Tunnel is producing something, like they know that they're gonna get quality work, or it's gonna be something like super major, something that's gonna last. It's not one of these like quick fashion things that just go like.
Not fleeting.
I love seeing like our work being reposted or used for inspiration for other people. Stuff like that means a lot. Happened to me when it was just me as a creative, and that's something that I wanted to keep happening with anything that I was associated with.
Yeah.
Like it was amazing to see people who I looked up to using my stuff that we've done or that I've done as references or inspiration. Like that was like pat on the back, like kudos, like
Yeah.
And like it could be nine. I saw a board one time that Edward Enfield did. He's the for Vogue Britain, and he's like the guy. Like as far as black fashion and style editors go, like he's it. Fucking genius. Been around forever, and he had a board. Somebody had posted it or whatever, like BTS or something, and it had one of my images from a shoot that I had done. I was like, "That's it. I could die. Like I could die now. Like
I made it. This is it.
Like this is it." And like that was just like a moment for me. Like
Yeah.
that like made me feel really good. So, I mean, everybody has to figure out what they're in it for, what motivates them. Like
absolutely,
all about longevity and just trying to be an influence, basically.
Yeah.
But not like an influence like, oh, like I say it's hot and it's hot. Like, no, like an influence that people continue to want to be inspired by or get inspired by and feel creative from and stuff like that. So
Facts. And leave a legacy and be legendary. And that's what my brand is built on. Like Flying Intellectual, that's it's like mindset personified. You know what I'm saying? Like I want everything that my brand goes on to inspire someone, to inform someone, you know, to interact with people, and to be excellent. We preach excellence in everything, and that's why, you know, I'm super honored to have you on the show. Because of course I know, you know, you're so busy. So for you taking the time out, once again, thank you again. Here's one more question, or a couple more questions. If you had a message for like women who wanted to make it in fashion, talk to the young women who are like listening and like, you know, they look up to someone like you who has done it. You know, give them a couple of gems that they could take on their way on their journey.
I think the biggest gem, and this is something that I am continually learning, is like don't undervalue yourself. We do it naturally. We don't even realize like it's like outrageous or like that's a crazy rate or something. Even as a business owner, I'm like, damn, they won't do that. Like, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I just want to think twice. They'd be like triple that, and that's what I'm gonna ask for.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I
Wow.
haven't shit, but I'm gonna ask for this, and it's astronomical. Women, we're like a little bit more reasonable. We're like, okay, let me think about this. Let me take this into consideration. Like, we're understanding. Like, don't do that, because what ends up happening is we undervalue ourselves and we cut our worth.
Wow.
No, if initially you know, like deep down you know you're worth it, that don't think about nothing else. Don't think about anything that they might be going through. Just go for it, because usually it's probably 10 times more than that. You know,
Facts.
don't undervalue yourself. That's the biggest thing I can tell you. Like,
No, that's
the industry's gonna do it for you, so you might as well start in the universe and end up somewhere in the sky, or you know,
wow.
like just legit. Like that's what I do. Like ask for the fucking sun, and you know, get a fucking cloud or some shit. Like
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
Yo, it's funny. I'm not a woman, but like that, obviously, that's for anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have that issue as well, where you know, you just feel like, you know, let me try to work.
Sorry,
Yeah,
as a guy, like you can't even claim that. No offense, like legit, no, and I'm saying that because it's like it's a real thing, and it's been a battle in every kind of industry. You know, getting paid less.
Yeah.
Like that's not like a random theory that someone is like, I think women get paid less. No,
that's a fact.
Like it's a fact,
Absolutely.
and it happens just automatically. Like I literally. You know, I work with men, and they'd be like, "Oh, you know, I think we should charge this," and I'm like, "What? Why?" And they're like, "Because that just feels like a good number," and I'm like, "That's how you base it?" Like,
wow.
you know, like, or they'll really have a good reason for it, and it's like, geez, you know. And I'm thinking, like, okay, fine, like, just like, you know what, like I've had to learn how to negotiate from men. And women were the worst negotiators. It's just that they it's just different. It's sexist. It's still a sexist like world.
Facts.
So like, just try your best not to undervalue yourself, for real. Know your worth.
Hey, that's I think that's an awesome way to pretty much end the pod, man. That's crazy. Know your worth. Build something that lasts the test of time. You know, put your time in. Don't be afraid to put the time in. Don't undervalue yourself. Don't shortcut yourself. Play the long game. Delayed gratification is everything.
And to speak to like the young upcoming, you know, I'm gonna just talk to women right now.
Yeah.
Not to be
no. Please.
Take as much as you get from it as possible, because it's not for men or women. But I'm just gonna talk to the women right now.
Go ahead.
There are less of us in the industry. Even though it might not seem so sometimes, there are.
Yeah.
And so when you're coming in, just be really focused and know what you want to do, because there are many different types. Let's just talk about stylists in general. There are many different types of stylists. You don't have to be the one that is doing like the celebrities. You know what I'm saying? At some point, the channels will merge and you'll get different opportunities, and then feel free to try whatever you want. But you know, like, don't just feel like that's the only thing out there. Like, you can be in high fashion, you can be as an editor, you can be the one who does TV, you can be a prop stylist. Like, there's so many different ways. So just do your research and really figure out like what it is, what fits your lane and what you want to do. Don't think that is just the celebrity thing. Like, that's not it.
Sick.
You know, so just don't, you know, and don't be scared to reach out. Like, don't be afraid to reach out to different people and just ask for an opportunity. You know, like, be willing to learn and be humble, because that's how you're gonna. You have to learn from someone. Like, you don't know everything. You're just starting. So and just FYI, the fashion, the clothes is 10% of what we do. You know, the rest of it is relationships and communication and contacts, and you won't have relationships, you won't be able to communicate with anyone, and you won't get any type of network if you just don't humble yourself and just be willing to learn. So that's like my biggest gem. Like, and I think that just goes for everything. If you want to break into something, some sort of industry, just be really willing to learn and like work your ass off, and you'll get there. Like, you know, don't come in there like, oh, I'm the dopest, I'm the flyest. Like, no, you're not. You don't even know a thing. Like, relax. Like, you know what I'm saying? So just like be willing to learn. Like, it's not what you think it is. And I say that with as plainly as possible. Like, people have a very, really warped idea of what they think styling is on any level, and it's not that. Trust me. So that's just what I would say.
Talk to the people, Danielle. Let them know. Tell them where they can find you. Thank you and you know where they can follow you, where they can follow your work. Plug yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can follow me personally at Danielle H_Styles on like IG and stuff. My Tunnel is everything is in my bio right there. You can follow Tunnel and see the work that we've done. But if not, it's just tunnelproduction.com. So check it out. Or it's tunnel-production, whatever. Tunnel-production.com. If you go onto my personal, you'll see it there. I think it's tunnel-production.com. And, you know, like I said, like, I feel like I'm easy to get in touch with, but I've been told otherwise. But I think so for the most part. So just reach out, whether it's a question or you want an opportunity for something, or you know, you just kind of want to talk. Like, okay, no, don't call me just to talk.
No.
You know,
no. Time is money. Time is money. No. Time is money.
But if you do have a question or whatever, like, you know, and you from the VI especially, yeah, just reach out for real.
Yeah, and I can only speak for myself. I reached out. We didn't know each other formally before we interacted, and she got back in contact with me, and we made this happen. So yes, she's not BSing you. She will hit you up in a timely fashion, whatever that looks like for her, because she's that busy. Once again, she has all of these titles, but she has the most important title as well, which she's a mom and about to be a mom 2 times over. So just for the fact that she made this time in between shoots, just did the Chris Brown cover, his first cover in 15 years, I believe. Is it 15? Yeah. 15 years. Shout out to Breezy. We both have the same last name. I call him my cousin twice removed. But on a serious note, Danielle, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for the gems that you dropped. Thank you for being transparent and telling your story and telling your truth and presenting it to us on the Flying Intellectual podcast. And we wish you all the best. And we'll definitely stay up and make sure that everything that you have going on, we're going to present it on our platform to keep you on the waves of the young entrepreneurs coming up. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
For sure. Take care.
Have a good one.